Most men spend their lives sleeping next to a stranger. You think you know her, the way she takes her tea, the way she sighs when she's tired, the dreams she has for her career. But there is a second woman living inside her, a woman who only emerges in the dark, in the spaces between thoughts, in the fantasy she is far too terrified to ever put into words. We live in a world that sanitizes female desire. We tell women to be good, to be composed, and to be modest. But good is the enemy of passion. Doesn't make the blood rush or the breath catch in the throat. Deep down in the core of her being, she is starving for a type of intimacy that society has told her is wrong. Today, we are pulling back the heavy velvet curtain. I am going to walk you through the 10 things she is fantasizing about right now. The things she is dying for you to take, but will never ask for, because she fears your judgment more than she desires her own liberation. Let's start with the one that haunts her the most, the desire to surrender. We've been conditioned to think that power is what everyone wants. But for a woman who carries the world on her shoulders all day, the CEO, the mother, the problem solver, power is an exhausting weight. In the bedroom, she doesn't want to lead. She wants to be led. This is the psychological root of BDSM. It isn't about the props or the costumes. It's about the relief of the mental load. When you take a risk, when you tell her exactly what to do, you aren't just taking her body, you are taking her responsibility. You're giving her the gift of no more decisions. Nearly half of the women you know have fantasized about being restrained. Why? Because when she is tired, she is finally free. Free from the need to be charged. But she hides this. She's afraid you'll think she's weak or that you'll lose respect for her. She needs you to create a container of safety. First, a space where her submission isn't a lack of power, but the ultimate expression of trust. Then there is the electric thrill of being seen. Exhibitionism. Society tells women that their bodies should be hidden, private, and modest. But there is a primal part of the female psyche that wants to be the sun. She wants to be a masterpiece that demands an audience. When she imagines you watching her with a hunger that borders on obsession, or when she fantasies about the thrill of a window being left just a crack too open, she is reclaiming her own beauty. It's not vanity, it's validation. She wants to feel like a force of nature that you cannot look away from. She waits for you to tell her how much you love to watch her move, waiting for your gaze to give her the permission she's been denied since she was a girl. She wants to be caught in the act of being herself, and what of the secrets that feel dangerous? The desire to see you with someone else. Cutting and voyeurism are the most misunderstood corners of her mind. It isn't that she doesn't love you. It's that she is so secure in your love that she wants to see the green-eyed monster and tame it. There is a profound rush in seeing the man she owns being desired by the world. It's a game of high stakes. She won't ask for it because she doesn't want to hurt you, and she's terrified you'll think she's trying to replace her own place in your heart. She needs to know your bond as a fortress of steel before she can ever play with the fire of sharing your light. She wants to watch the world want you only to be the one who takes you home. Sometimes she doesn't want to see it all. She wants the world to turn black. Sensory deprivation, the blindfold, the silk tie is the ultimate shortcut to the nervous system. When a woman loses her sight, her brain stops scanning the room for to-do lists and starts focusing on the now. The smell of your skin becomes a roar. The weight of your breath on her neck becomes an electric shock. She wants to be trapped in the feeling of you. She wants the delicious agony of not knowing where your next touch will land. It is a level of vulnerability that most men never dare to explore. To be blind in your arms is her way of saying, I trust you to be my entire world. And then there is the play, the wet and messy side of desire. We call it splashing. We spend our lives being told to be clean, poised, and organized. But there is something incredibly liberating about the chaos of oils, chocolate, or water. It's a regression to a primal tactile state of existence. It's the death of the proper woman and the birth of the sensory creature. She's worried you'll find it silly or pornographic, but what she's really asking for is the freedom to be unperfect. She's asking for you to join her in the beautiful mess of being alive. Now, we enter the world of roles. Not just the nurse or the teacher, but the psychological weight of being someone else entirely. Role-playing is the ultimate costume for the soul. If she acts like a stranger, she can say the things the wife or the girlfriend is too shy to speak. It's a portal to her deepest truths. And alongside this is the desire for protection, thirge, play, dynamic. In a world that asks her to be a boss every hour of the day, she craves the space to be small, to be nurtured, to be your girl. She wants to regress to a state of innocence where you are the protector, the guardian of her safety and her pleasure. She's terrified you'll find it creepy, but for her, it's the only time she feels truly, deeply safe. It is the healing of her inner child through the strength of your masculinity. We cannot talk about the soul without talking about the nerves. We cannot ignore the body's hidden maps. Did you know the parts of the brain that control the feet are physically mapped right next to the parts that control the genitals? This isn't just a kink, it's a neurological bridge. Many women carry a hidden desire for foot play, for a worship of the parts of her that carry her through the world. It is a direct line to her arousal that most men step right over. It is an act of service that says, I am willing to go the very edges of you. She hides this because she's afraid of being odd. But she is secretly waiting for the man who isn't afraid to start at the ground and work his way up. And for some, the aerosol requires a sharp, sudden contrast, impact play, a light spanking, a firm grip, the sudden sting of a palm. This is one of the most guarded secrets in the feminine psyche. It's not about pain in the way we think of it. It's about presence. We live in a world of digital noise and mental fog. A light sting brings her spirit crashing back into her body. It forces her to be here. It clears the static. It releases a cocktail of endorphins and adrenaline. That turns the subsequent touch into pure liquid heat. She's afraid you'll judge her for wanting the sting. So she settles for a polite vanilla intimacy while her soul is screaming for the fire. She needs to know you have the strength to be the storm, so she can be the lightning. But the deeper we go into these shadows, the more we realize that she isn't just looking for physical sensation. She is looking for an escape from her own identity. This is why the sexual shadow is so powerful. Every woman has a part of her that wants to be taken not against her will, but by a will that is stronger than her own inhibitions. She wants to be consumed. She doesn't just want to be found attractive. She wants to feel that her essence is so potent, so intoxicating that you are struggling to keep your own composure. She wants to see your hands shake just a little. She wants to hear your voice crack with a hunger that you can't quite hide. She wants the fantasy of your desire being an irresistible force. When you show her that you are losing control because of her, you give her the greatest gift a man can give, the knowledge that she is a goddess who can move mountains. But we must address the ultimate barrier, the one thing that keeps these 10 fantasies locked in the basement of her mind, the fear of being too much. Most women have been conditioned to believe that if they reveal the full scale of their hunger, they will scare you away. They fear that if they show you the siren, you will no longer see the saint. This is why she plays it safe. This is why she gives you the expected version of herself. She is waiting for you to demonstrate that you are a man who can handle the weight of her shadow. She is looking for what we call masculine containment. It's the ability to stand still while she fluctuates, to be the mountain while she is the storm. When you don't flinch at her darkness, when you don't judge her for her naughty thoughts, you are performing the highest act of love. You are giving her permission to exist in her entirety. Consider the psychology of the chase within a long-term bond. Even after years of marriage, she wants to feel the heat of being pursued. She wants to feel that you are still discovering her. This is why the fantasies of the stranger or exhibitionism are so potent. They break the routine of being known. When you look at her today, don't look at the woman you saw yesterday. Look at her as if she is a riddle you haven't solved. Look at her with the eyes of a man who knows there is a secret hidden in her gaze, and watch how her nervous system responds. Because at the end of the day, every kink, every taboo, and every secret we've discussed is just a different dialect of the same language, the language of being seen. She wants to be seen not just for her beauty, but for her complexity. She wants to be seen in her submission, in her power, in her mess, and in her perfection. The 10 things she wants but won't ask for are not about the acts themselves. They are about the freedom to want them. When you give her that freedom, you aren't just a lover. You become the curator of her soul. You become the only man who truly knows her. And in that knowing, you create a fire that the world can never put out. You see, intimacy isn't a checklist you perform. It isn't a set of moves you learn from a book. It's a frequency you tune into together. And if you are still broadcasting on the frequency of politeness and safety, you will never hear the symphony she is playing in her head. The door is open now. You have the map to the thing she's been hiding behind her proper smile. But a map is useless if you're too afraid to take the journey. Your mission isn't to go home and perform a list. Your mission is to look her in the eyes and create a space where she feels she could tell you her darkest secret. And you would only pull her closer. You must be the anchor that allows her to be the sea. Shame dies in the light of acceptance. If you want her to be the siren, you must first be the man she doesn't have to hide from. If you're ready to stop playing on the surface and start understanding the raw, beautiful truth of the feminine heart, you've found the right place. We are going deeper every week into the psychology that builds legendary relationships and unbreakable bonds. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss our next deep dive into the human psyche, and I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these psychological truths shifted your perspective the most today. I read every word you write. Let's start the conversation. I'm here and I'll be with you on this journey every step of the